It's finally time to talk about one of the most underappreciated rivalries in the state, and that is between the team from Mount Pleasant and the team down in Kalamazoo that don't like each other very much whatsoever. In order to talk about this Central Michigan versus Western Michigan football game, I have the honor to not only have a guy that loves to pump things up in the booth during a game, a guy that gets his last name misspelled almost everywhere he goes, and one of my favorite voices in all of radio, including the voice of CMU football and the Lansing Lugnuts as well, with Jesse Goldberg Strassler. Adam Jaksa, thanks for joining, man. Really appreciate you taking your time.
Thank you, man. I hope we inspire others to pump it up in the stadium when they play that song. And it's been played 4 weeks in a row. Akron, Bowling Green, Central Michigan. I'm forgetting one, but Western Michigan and Waldo Stadium. I'm really hoping they play that song on Saturday.
Do you have anything up your sleeve for this week? Anything different? I think it was last game you end up joining kind of the trend of a lot of guys taking off their shirt and waving in the booth, I believe, last game. So do you have anything up your sleeve this one, or are you going to kind of surprise some people with that one?
Well, I think the biggest thing this week is the radio crew will be dressed in Halloween themed costumes. So I don't know what we're going to do, but if they play the song, I'm sure we'll have pictures or videos out anyway, but we'll be in our radio themed costume doing
Yeah.
Pump It Up. So I think that'll be good enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, hope that song gets played, but it's also a big game. Like I talked about in the intro, it's a huge rivalry between two teams that don't like each other very well. I know that you've kind of addressed that several times between Central Michigan and Western. So for anyone that's listening that doesn't like understand or really haven't watched both of these teams, what kind of game should we expect from this one? Obviously, it's going to be a close, contested game because it's a rivalry game, but it's a 4.5 point spread for Western. Like, it's supposed to be a really good game.
Yeah, I expect it to be tight and low scoring, which sometimes when you expect one thing, the complete opposite happens,
Yeah.
especially in this rivalry. But Zach, everything on paper says that, these two teams like to run the football, whether
Yeah.
it be the quarterback or the running backs. They like to melt the clock and they rely on good defensive play. I mean, Western Michigan's got one of the best defensive lines in the conference. Central Michigan has a great linebacking core and great pieces on both their defensive line and in their secondary. So I think this one, it's kind of cool. This feels like an old school football game, like going
Yeah.
back to the 90s where like you're going to pound the rock, take care of the football, melt the clock, shorten the game, and we might be sitting here in the mid 15 to 20 range of going, hey, if you take care of the football and you have the football more than the opponent does for 60 minutes, you got a chance to win this game, maybe first one to 15, maybe first one to 20. Now, again, on Saturday, when the final score is 42-41, that's football, but it,
Yeah.
it does truly look like this is going to be a low-scoring game where two teams that don't make a ton of mistakes and rely on their defense and rely on their run game, it's going to be tight, and there's going to be a play or two that probably is going to dictate who wins this thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And CMU is led by new head coach and Matt Drinkle. Obviously, coming from Army, you talked a little bit about that physicality, kind of that old school type of football. But it's going to be interesting because he does a few different things different, right? Like Central does the two quarterback system with Joe Lavis and Angel Flores. How do you think that's going to play an impact in this game? Not only having a two quarterback system, but kind of having a two quarterback system that do different things when obviously you have Western, we'll talk about their quarterback in Brack Lowry that can kind of do both, using his legs and using his arm.
Well, yeah, the big news, I mean, Angel Flores has been ruled out this week with injury,
Okay.
unfortunately. Matt Drinkle announced that earlier this week, so that's a big loss. I mean, he's their leading rusher in terms of attempts, in terms of rushing touchdowns, and just in terms of yards. And when they need a short yardage situation play to convert 1, 2, 3 yards, he's been the guy all
Yeah.
season long, just like Brock Lowry on the other side. So Labus has run a little bit, but he hasn't been the guy that runs all the time because they want to keep him healthy, and he's just better through the air. He can move, he can be mobile, but ultimately they want to keep him upright and don't want to have him taking a bunch of hits, just especially knowing we are into the most grueling part of the season,
Yeah.
November, where it's chilly and you got to kind of grind things out. And obviously, the games are heightened now with these two teams being at the top of the league. So I'm interested with, they're very innovative and they're very detail oriented on that specific week's matchup. Like
Okay.
with offensive coordinator Jim Chapin and Coach Drinkle and the staff, they come up with a plan specifically for that opponent. I'm sure telling you that's anything crazy, but
Yeah.
like how they win the game each week is dictated on the personnel that the opponent has. They certainly have to do what they want to do well. But I'm curious how they do that this week, knowing that one of their important personnel pieces, Angel Flores, is not going to be out there.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's going to be more running backs that get touches. I imagine Labus will maybe be asked to throw just a touch more, but again, they still feel with a team that's leading in MAC games with like 230 rush yards per
Yeah.
game that they're going to be able to tote the rock no matter who's back there in the backfield and no matter what quarterback is out there as well.
Yeah, because I think your point of that they do a different game plan per opponent that they play is not only obviously an interesting one because basically almost every team kind of does that, but I feel like it was, I believe, a couple weeks ago that Central maybe only had like 5 attempts all game. That's a little bit of like a throwback to kind of like the Army kind of days where they're just going to run the ball down your throat and it's just going to continue to be really frustrating. And this is a Western defense. You mentioned a defense that probably has one of the best, if not the best, front four in the entire conference. That is a top 30 team when it comes to yardage given up per game through the ground, top 25 yardage through the air as well. This is a defense that has shown success stopping both of those. How do you think Central is going to be able to attack this defense and have that physical type of football when you are going up against a defensive line that has shown success, kind of doing pretty well against what Central does well as well?
Yeah, I think that's the matchup that everybody wants to see in this game, right? The strength against strength. Western's front, Central Michigan's front, being able to pound the rock. I think the creativity of what Jim Chapin is going to call certainly will help. Even though Angel Flores is out, I imagine he will have a wrinkle or two that he will shoot in for this game, again, based on the personnel that are available.
Yeah.
But I think Central Michigan trusts their ability to be able to run the football. Again, like, I don't think you need to score 30 plus points to
No.
win this game.
No.
I think you could, I mean, the way that Central Michigan started the season was going across the country to California and winning that game ugly
Yeah.
16-14. But they still were able to rack up 200 plus yards on the ground just because they are so committed to running the football, you know?
Yep.
And so even as good as you are as a defense, when you're taking physicality after physicality punch for 60 minutes, there's a chance that there's going to be some gains there. There's going to
Yeah.
be some potential explosive plays. Now, again, if they shut that down for 60 minutes, it's a heck of an effort.
Yeah.
But I think the Chippewas feel like they can still have some success running the football and then do that at least enough to open up those high percentage pass opportunities for Joe Labus, because their whole thing has been, yes, we're willing to throw, but we're not going to throw until you make us.
Yeah.
And the next thing, we want to take care of the football. They were negative 17 in the turnover margin last year. They're plus 6 this year,
Yep.
best in the Mid-American Conference. I think they've had like 6 total turnovers, and they've all
Okay.
come late in the game when the game has already been decided. They hadn't had a MAC turnover until last week late in the game when, again, they were already up big on UMass and that
Yeah.
game was over. So I think they feel, hey, we want to run the football, we want to drain the clock, but we're going to do high percentage throws to, one, make sure we can throw off Western just a touch, keep them honest,
Yeah.
but also make sure that this is going to enhance their ability to take care of the football and not do dangerous things that would get away from their game plan that has got them to 5-3 so far to start 2025.
Yeah, and that's a big reason why Central has been so successful this year and are top of the MAC as well. Like, if you win this game, you're way in the driver's seat to just handle business, go to the MAC championship. Like that's what this game truly can mean between Central and Western. Whoever wins this game, if you handle your business for the rest of the season, you're going to be in Detroit. You're going to be fighting for a MAC championship, which is obviously the goal for every team. And doing that in the first year of Coach Strinkle, like that would be incredible, especially for how last year went with Central kind of struggling. But I know we've talked a little bit about the offense. I do want to get into Brock Lowry a little bit because he's kind of the main guy when it comes to Central. He wasn't necessarily the starter right away, but he eventually kind of earned it after a pretty good performance against MSU, kind of continued to do that through the air, through the ground. With Central having kind of the team and the quarterback system that they have, how much of an advantage do you think having kind of like a quarterback like Labus and Flores kind of helps you prepare for Brock Lowry? Because obviously you might have, you talked about, you have one quarterback that does one thing really well, you have the other quarterback that does the other thing really well. You put both of those quarterbacks together, you probably get a little bit of Brock Lowry.
Yeah, I think it'll be super helpful. I mean, I would say the same thing if Angel Flora was going for Central Michigan. I think it's the same for Western.
Yeah.
They are prepped and they know how to handle Brock Lowry from facing that all season long and just getting prepared for the season. It'd be the same thing each way. So I think it certainly helps when you're used to facing a running threat type of quarterback where, the big reason they're doing that, especially for Western Michigan and Central Michigan, help out your offensive line. You get an extra
Yeah.
blocker with the running back. That's the main purpose you're doing it. And you got someone that's tough like Lowry is or like Flores is that can put their head down and they're not afraid to go get the extra yard, especially on those tight, short yardage, important downs. You're gonna use that as much as you can. So I think it definitely helps. Does that mean that Brock Lowry is not going to find any space on the ground? Probably not. Dude's
No.
good, and
Yeah.
that's certainly the key this week for Central Michigan defensively. The focus: how do you stop number 12? Because it all runs through him. And Coach Drinkle, he mentioned it that Lowry, he reminds him of Bryson Daly, the two-time starter they've had at Army the last
Yep.
couple of years. Obviously, helped them win the conference last season before Coach Drink come over to Mount Pleasant to take the Central Michigan job. So,
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of the head of the snake right there. You got to stop Lowry to stop their offense. If you do and can contain them, though, I think they feel good about their chances staying in the game, keeping it low scoring, and more importantly, getting the football back, because that's the big focus for them. He's preached since he got here, hey, if you have the football, that's how you win games. That's how you score points. So you need to have the football if you don't have it. And if you do have the football, you need to keep it. One of the ways to get the football, you have to contain Brock Lowry on Saturday.
Yeah, and sometimes the best type of defense is a good offense that just stays on the field, that just chews up clock, right? Like if the other team doesn't have the ball, if Brock Lowry doesn't have the ball, he can't get it to a guy like Blake Bosma. He can't get it to a guy like Tyleek Williams. I know Jalen Buckley might not be having the season that he thought he would have, but there's playmakers on the Western side. There's also playmakers on Central side. It's about getting the ball to the playmakers. It's about protecting the ball and not committing turnovers. And it might be one of those games where whichever team either gets a stop or whichever team has a turnover in this game, that could truly factor in and truly win the game for one team or the other. And then we can have the same conversation about like, it's the little things. You just can't make mistakes in a type of game like this, especially a rivalry game that I think you and I expect to be really close and really competitive.
Yeah, I feel dumb because I'm not going to give you any like hard hitting, crazy like keys because
Yeah.
it is so old school. Like it does really feel like who runs the football better, who takes care of the football, and who has the football longer. That team's probably going to win the game.
Yeah.
And I was talking to the voice of Western Michigan earlier, Robin Hook, and I said, what's crazy is the last 5 years, the winner of this game 4 times has been the team that has been trailing at one point. And
Yeah.
last year in Mount Pleasant was the first time that we had seen that in 5 years where Central Michigan led the entire way. And I said, Robin, don't you feel like whoever gets the lead in this game probably has the best chance to win. And I know that's weird to say because it's like,
Yeah.
of course, the team that gets, but not in this rivalry. In this rivalry, whoever's been behind over the last 5 years has come back and won. But like traditionally, again, I think for a second straight year, I will be surprised if the team that takes the early lead is not the team that ends up winning, because it sets up that both these teams run heavy, chew the clock, play defense, try and take care of the football. They're not set up to come from behind, especially big deficits. Like, Western came back from Toledo, but I think that was only 2 touchdowns, and they were
Yeah.
at home. Central Michigan, they haven't really come from behind. They had to come from behind against Akron and nearly did, but ended up losing. All of their wins have been, hey, they lead at halftime, they hold a team under 15 points, they win the game. So I really do feel like the first quarter on Saturday dictating how this game is going to be played out is going to be super important.
Yeah, and that's just how old school football has been. Like, it's about hard nose, running the football, playing physical football, about hitting each other. That's what I love about football. There's a little bit of kind of that like finesse stuff that happens a little bit in other games that obviously is fun. And when you have like a score that's like 55 to like 52 or something like that, obviously that's fun. But I think we need a little bit of a throwback to old school type of football. And because of that, I don't know if you're in the predictions game. You might be, you might not be, but I'm going to end on this because I know you have to get going here shortly. What's your prediction in this game? Does Central go to Kalamazoo and Waldo Stadium and get it done? Or do you think Western's going to get it done and defend home field?
Yeah, you know what? I've gone back and forth on this, and I will be honest. I'm not shy about predictions. If I'm
Okay,
wrong, I'm wrong. That's what's in
exactly.
sports. Everybody has an opinion, and
Yeah,
hey, you can look at me next Monday and be like, "Wow, he was completely wrong. What an idiot." That's fine.
yeah,
I really, at the beginning of the week, was like, I don't know. Central's not going to be favored. They got to go on the road. This is unfamiliar territory. But I feel good. I really do. Like the last 2 games that Central Michigan has played, you talk about Bowling Green and UMass. And again, maybe those teams don't finish top of the conference. Obviously, UMass hasn't won yet, but Bowling Green on the road, Central Michigan hadn't won a MAC road game in 3 years. They
yep,
were able to do that. They're the only team that got a MAC victory outside of conference on the road. I think Central Michigan's going to win this game. I really do. And if I thought the other way, I wouldn't be a homer. I would tell
yeah,
you this is an opportunity for Central Michigan to come up with their biggest win their program has had in 15 years. And I
yeah.
say that because Central Michigan has not had a winning streak in this rivalry since 2010.
Okay,
Every time that they have won over the last 15 years, it has been to stop a streak of Western Michigan. So they
yep,
win last year, finally, for the first time at home in 15 years. And now they've got an opportunity to win a second straight game in this rivalry for the first time in 15 years. They've taken care of the ball better than Western Michigan has. They run the football best in the conference, and their defense continues to create turnovers. I really do feel like turnover margin will be impactful. Like whoever
yeah,
wins the turnover
absolutely.
battle, again, if they don't win the game, I will be completely surprised just based on how these 2 teams play. The
Yeah,
one thing I will be nervous about is the fact that this is probably going to be 30,000 plus screaming individuals at Central Michigan. Um, but there are a lot of guys that Coach Drinkle brought back from last year's team and the prior teams that know about this rivalry. So
yeah,
I think they're going to get it done on Saturday. And if they do, again, it is a program changing win. Finally being able to get over that hump, win one on the road, win a second straight against Western Michigan. And here's the other thing, Zach. This is the best part for the fans. 2006 was the last time that both Central and Western came into this game in November with 1 loss in the MAC or less. Like, it
yep,
has not happened in the last 2 decades. Finally, we get the rivalry and we get super implications in the MAC standings
yep.
behind it. And I'll go as far as saying, too, this is a MAC title elimination game.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Like, you got the final month here, and there's only going to be a few games left. You lose this game with, what, 4 or 5 other teams with only 1 loss and Miami undefeated. You're not getting to the MAC championship game unless
Agreed.
things completely implode at the top of the standings. So, like, yeah, you got the rivalry, you got the bragging rights, you got to do all of that. And the Michigan Mac Trophy, obviously, on the line, but also, like, your chance to Detroit hinges on you winning or losing this game. So that's a lot right there, but I'm feeling Central Michigan 23, Western Michigan. Let's go Monsters Inc. here. Let's just be weird. Let's go Monsters Inc. We got a 23-19. That's what I'm going with on Saturday.
I love that prediction. I have Central Michigan winning this game as well, just because I do really trust Coach Drinkle. I think they've had a really great season. Obviously, big game for them. Really appreciate you joining as well. Been a ton of fun having you on, kind of previewing this game. Good luck to yourself. Obviously, good luck to Central as well. But really appreciate you joining and hope this was worth your time. Maybe we can do something in the future again.
Would love to, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.